I just threw away my entire project and threw away all the work that I've done. But it might have been the smartest thing I could do. If you're new here, I'm doing the 100K build challenge where I will attempt to make $100,000 using only AI tools. On this channel, I'm building in public, documenting every win, every failure, and not stopping until I make 100K. So if you're into AI tools, building software, and you like to watch someone suffer publicly, then make sure to subscribe and follow along. So a reminder on the rules for the 100K build challenge. Rule number 1, I document everything right here in this channel. Rule number 2, I can only use AI and I can't write any lines of code. And rule number 3, I will not stop until I make 100K. And that's my promise to you. Okay, well, with that out of the way, you're about to watch day 5. If you watched last episode, you can see that I basically give up. Well, I took a break. I took a moment to think about things and I decided to give it another go. You're gonna watch me rebuild my app from scratch and hopefully get to the end this time. In this episode, I'm also gonna share my 4 biggest lessons that I've learned so far in this journey and lessons that I would share with anyone who's just getting started with vibe coding right now if you actually wanna build and launch and ship something and get it to the end. And if you stay to the end of this episode, I'm gonna be doing a full walkthrough, a full demo of my completed app, exactly how it works and exactly what I built. I nearly gave up on this project and gave up on vibe coding forever, but I'm glad I started over and took a different approach. And it feels amazing to have an app that's completed, which you're gonna see by the end of this episode. This is day 5 of the 100K build challenge. Let's go. Okay. It's time to start over from scratch, do everything the right way, the methodical way. We're going to set things up with Git to work well, and it's going to be awesome. So we got to start over. We're going to create an entirely new repository to start from scratch and do this right. So if you're watching this, you may be in the boot camp or you might be watching on YouTube as well. Just know that this is the setup process. The setup process for any app on your local machine is going to always be fraught with errors, and there's no way that I could cover all the errors that you're going to run into in this video because you're going to be on a different machine. You may be on a PC, you may not have certain things installed, and lots of things. So, but if it doesn't go to plan for you, I want you to use Google to Google your way out of it. Use ChatGPT, pass in the errors that you get, send them to ChatGPT. It will tell you what to try. And although it's painful, and it can take a long time to get out of this setup hell, it will be worth it because everything gets easier after that. So without further ado, let's get started. So I recommend using Heroku, but if you're watching this, you may be using something else to get started. That's what I use. So you may want to log into that and make sure that's installed, but for me, it'll already be. Then I'm going to do Rails new my app with database PostgreSQL. I'm going to run this, and that's going to create our app, which is called My App. It's not a very creative name, but that is what we're going to call it. But now it's created that, and now it's got all the files in there to start running this app. Then what we're going to do is we're going to CD into the app here, CD My App. Now we're inside of that, and we're going to create the database. And you may need to run some of those things too, but I don't need to run those because it's already working. And then we will run our bundle install here. I already know that those gems are in there, which they should be, but you may need to check. Okay, that's working. And then I'm just going to start the server and see if this works. Okay, localhost 3000. This is where we're running the server. So I'm going to go here. I'm going to do local 3000. Let's see if that's working. Boom, it's working. And guys, what this means, which you probably already know this, but we are running our full app locally on our computer right now. So we can make changes here. We can test things. We can do whatever we want. We can write whatever we want on it, and we can test those changes, and then we push those changes up to a server. So you already know this. You already been watching the series, but I just want to do this again and do this right. So we got the thing working. The only other change that I want to make is I want to create the welcome page, and I want to do Hello Vibe Coder, which is our hello version of Hello World. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take all this, and I'm going to, first I want to show you how to use cursor too. If this is your first time watching the series, we're going to have it show cursor as well. So let's go and do Command L, and we're going to do a new one, a new chat here, and we're going to paste in, can you help me with this? Beautiful. So now it's going to go and create that. And guys, I like to use Claude 3.7 Sonnet to do this. Thank you to all your awesome tips and tricks that you've been giving me in the comments. So we're going to use that. It's a lot better. And it already made those changes. So let's save this. Let's go back to our app and reload it. And now it already says hello world. But
we want to change one thing because it's hello vibe coder. So let's change that. We're going to go, one way you can do that through Command Shift F and search hello world. We know that says hello world. Let's just make it say hello vibe coder. And let's just make sure that that works so that we reload it and it says hello vibe coder. It tells you what time it is. That is the basis of our app. And that is the hardest part. In the next module, we're going to deploy it up to GitHub. We're going to get it all set up so that we can do a lot of cool stuff by make quick changes and revert back and stuff like that. But this is the basics. I want to put this together and we'll go to the next one.
Okay, so let's talk about lesson number 1. This is probably the easiest lesson, but maybe the most important. Lesson number 1 is learn and use version control relentlessly. By version control, I'm talking about Git, and I've used Git a lot for managing my code base, but I think it's actually even more important when it comes to vibe coding. Using Git is not about saving your code. It's actually about giving yourself permission to break things and not feel shitty about it. When you know that you can revert back to a working version of your product, it unlocks a whole new confidence and creativity while you're vibe coding. If you want to try something tricky or totally rework something, you can do it with confidence, knowing you can just revert back at any given time. So with this project, I treated Git like a journal. I basically committed up every single time I made the tiniest change possible. Sometimes it was a one-line change, but I never committed more than one feature to the code base. And what's cool is I actually used the AI to make the commit messages, and it didn't take me any longer to do this. And it gave me a lot of confidence that I could always go back at any given time. So in summary, by using Git, I made changes in a much more focused, bite-sized way. Each commit to my project was related to a very specific feature or change that I was making. And this was honestly one of the easiest changes that I could make to my workflow, but it made one of the biggest differences. So in summary, use Git, use it a lot, get good at it, learn how to revert, learn how to stash changes and all that sort of stuff. If you want to learn more about that, check out the GPT-4o bootcamp in the description, where I will go over my entire Git workflow and how you can use Cursor and vibe coding to basically tell Git to do whatever you want it to do. All right, let's get back to the build.
Now what we're going to do is probably the most complex thing I think that we will do from a perspective of vibe coding, because this is the core functionality of our app. This is based on a somewhat new API, and there's not a whole lot of documentation around there that the models can use. So I have found that trying to do this, and this is kind of what broke my app in the first place when I first attempted to build this, is it kept wanting to use these old models and do these things. So that's why I wanted to rebuild it this way. And I'm going to walk through what I think is the right way to do that. So the first thing is the thumbnail generator service class. This is where we want, instead of just saying, hey, Cursor, go and update everything possible, just go and make this change. We're going to get a little bit more specific about it making the change in this here, because we know how to test this and we have a good feedback loop of testing things, right? So if we remember how to do that, let's just run that one more time, which is our thumbnail debug thumbnail generator RB. No such file directory. Should work. I think I've forgotten can you run the script debug file generator? It's at the root. Okay. See, because I can't even remember how to run it. I must be doing something. I guess you could just do Ruby, but we know that that's how it works, right? So we can also run it here and just test it. We know we're going to go implement. This doesn't do anything right now other than just give us the placeholder. But now we're going to go, and a bunch of stuff is going to go wrong, but we always know how to test it, and we know how to tell Cursor how to test it as well. Okay. So we are now going to go to the documentation for how to generate an image based on another image. This is all here, and this is all you need right here. Not all you need, but this is where we're going to start. Okay. I'm going to do one thing here that I've learned the hard way, which is also to set some project rules. So I think I go to cursor settings, and then go to rules, and I'm going to call it model. This is going to be model rules. And basically this is a way to set, which I want to make sure we do this, is for models, always use, I got to remember what the name of the model is, GPT image 1, and never use Dolly. Okay. That's important. And I wanted to set that. So can you implement this logic in the service class? I'm going to paste that logic in there. Say you can get. Now I'm going to go through and look at, okay, it does need a few things in here. It's going to need our API key. So we know how to get that. You can get the API key from env, which we OpenAI key. I'm going to do something else too, where basically this is going to need an image, right? Or it's going to need to get an image. So I'm going to upload an image called test sketch. This is my input image, which I hadn't. I'm going to upload it to the actual, there. So it can actually do it because it needs a sketch if I'm going to run the tests. For the input of the debug script, I have a test image to pass in called test sketch PNG. And this is the most complicated I think we're going to get in the vibe coding. The other stuff is going to be easy because, like authentication and like kind of basic database stuff. This stuff is pretty tried and true. This is a very sort of new model. And that's when things can go wrong, I found. Okay, we're probably going to want to change the prompt too. So I'm going to update the prompt to be convert this into a YouTube thumbnail. Okay, that's the prompt. Okay, let's try this and let's see what it does. Did I accidentally delete well, let's try it anyway. Now, guys, my rule is to not write a single line of code, but I do think it's important to set up the code in this way. Otherwise, you're going to have a bad time, which I did. Okay, now it's going to do a bunch of stuff here, which I like. Let's fix one issue with thumbnail generator. We need to update the environment variable where the match one specified. Okay, so it's already knowing, okay, let's run our debug thumbnail generator. So that's exactly what we want to do. So let's run that. Okay, it looks like the test sketch PNG file doesn't exist in the public directory. Let's create a sample PNG there first. Okay, that's fine. We can do that. That's fine. It's going to put that there. This is pretty smart. We're going to run it again. Okay, status failed. Okay, cool. So now it is doing its cool AI agent thing where it's finding everything it did wrong and fixing it as it goes. It knows to continuously run the debug script and it's going to go find issues. Oh, there's some sort of issue there. Doesn't like that. Okay, cool. We'll keep going. I'm looking at the debug. That's looking good too. I don't know exactly what it's doing. It's doing some file utils thing. Cool. I don't really like this, but let's let it do its thing. Okay, so something's working now. It's running the thumbnail generator and it's paused, meaning OpenAI's, I think, work doing its thing and it's trying to generate an image. That's always a good sign when it takes a little time to run. So let's let that do its thing. I'm sure that won't be everything, but it says it works. So I think that's all we need to do. But let's go back to here. We're going to upload a sketch. Let's see if this works. We're going to do our test sketch here. We're going to create this thumbnail. And it's taking some time, so that's a good sign. It's loading. Taking a while to load. This is working a lot better than I thought it was going to. And while that runs, I mean, we can just kind of talk about what was cool about this is that, there you go. Hey, it worked. Yes. The hardest part is over. This is the hardest part. Now everything is in this service object and now we can keep things really simple and everything's gonna be easy from here. I'm super, super pumped up now. Wow, this is amazing. Obviously this looks like shit, but the actual business logic technically works. And now we can go build auth around it. We can go improve the prompts. We can generate background jobs. We can do everything now. This is what I wanted to get to. And now I feel super confident about what the code is doing. So I don't know what any of this stuff is doing, but I know that this service here, the thumbnail generator, its job is to get an image and generate a thumbnail and give me that thumbnail. That's all it does. And I don't have to care too much about how it works. It's abstracted away in my mind. So I'm going to accept all the files and we're just going to walk through where we are now and how our app works, because I think it's important to, again, go back and understand the MVC here and what it's actually doing with knowing that the logic is somewhat abstracted away, because this is vibe coding. This is our page that is sketches new. And this is where you upload, right? You upload your photo here. I'm going to upload this photo here and we'll turn this into a thumbnail. And when you do that, you go to the sketches controller and the sketches controller is really simple. All it does, I don't know what that is. All it does is call the thumbnail generator and it generates it. And we don't have to think too much about anything else. This is keeping it simple. So now it's going to be easy for us to abstract this out to background jobs and a bunch of other stuff. So when we click create thumbnail, it's going to go and create that thumbnail. And right now it's here in the process. And then it goes to sketches show. And this has the original and the generated thumbnail. And that's pretty much it. I mean, and when you go, the other thing you can look at is the routes. And these are really simple. There's only a few different routes, right? We have our sketches route, which is where you can create a new one, where it creates it and where it shows it after it's done. And then everything else is really, we have our about page that was just for fun. And then we have our root page, which is just basically has nothing and just links to the sketch create page. So now our app is really simple, right? It doesn't really, and now that's created that YouTube thumbnail. That's pretty good. I haven't edit any of the prompts. I haven't done anything. That's like a not bad YouTube thumbnail, right? And now it's working. It's all working here, which is awesome. I'm pretty pumped about this. I'm going to stop it here. And again, we're going to show how to commit it up. So as we always do, we'll go and do Command L and say, this is awesome. It worked. Can you commit this up to the repository and push it up? And guys, what's cool about this is that if you can get access to this repository, if you are in the bootcamp, and you can just pull this down. So if you don't want to mess with all this stuff, which maybe you don't want to, you can go and get the app at this specific point in time and then maybe do something else with it. That's going to be all here in all these commit hashes where anybody can grab these. So we're going to run that. We're going to push it up. Once that's done, then I'll reload. You'll see that the OpenAI image thumbnail generation feature is right here. So I can always say, oh, I don't like that. I can revert back to this. That's it. All right. The hard part is done. I think what we're going to cover next is authentication and security and some more complex stuff there, but it won't be that complex. All right. Thanks for watching.
Okay. So lesson number 2 is I really think you should use and get good at a framework. I think one of the biggest hacks to vibe coding is not just to custom code everything, but instead rely on a really proven framework. And I think you should choose a framework that's kind of stood the test of time. There's a lot of new fancy stuff out there, but I'm going to explain why I think you should use something that's a little bit more old school, like Ruby on Rails, that I've been using. The first reason is that these frameworks have built very, very successful apps, billion-dollar businesses. They work with scale and they are proven to actually build real businesses. And more importantly, because really big companies use these and a lot of people use these, the internet is full of documentation about how to use them, bugs, security stuff, and just a bunch of other stuff like that. And why that's important is that actually all of these AI models are trained on all this information. They're trained on all the Stack Overflow posts and code bases and bug reports, and just all these models that we're using to vibe code right now in Cursor have trained on all this data. So when you're prompting the code to do something, it knows, it looks at your framework and says, oh, I know how to do this because I've seen all of these posts about this. This is the best practice way to do this thing that the user is asking for. And I'm not going to go crazy and off the rails trying something super creative or different. So by using a framework, a proven framework, you're setting the AI up for success, but you're also setting yourself up for success. As you learn the framework as well, you learn different things about it and how to be faster at it and how to better use it. You don't have to use Rails. That's the one I use because I like it, but there's tons of other frameworks out there. If you're building web apps, pick one that you really like. And as you build more projects and go deeper on the framework, it'll just get easier for you to build going forward, and you'll get a lot faster at building as well. So I think pick one framework, stick with it, and use one that's been around for a long time. I know a lot of people in the comments are laughing at me. They think I'm like a dinosaur because I use Rails. And the reason why this lesson is so important, I think, is because speed is everything. I was able to put this project together in about a day because I'm fast with Rails. I understand it, and I was able to get the AI to do what I wanted, partly because I know the framework well. Speed is everything. That's why I think you should use a framework. All right, let's get back to the build.
So if you're working on some sort of GPT app or image generator or anything like that, likely your product is going to be different than mine. Unless you're building also a thumbnail generator, which is also totally cool. You may be here just to learn this and to try and build what I'm building, whether you're just going to building it for fun and to learn, or you want to launch something similar. I don't care. You can take my idea. It doesn't matter to me. I'm giving you all the code anyway at the end of this. So yeah, what we're going to do in this section is we're actually going to build the product. Like we got the thumbnail uploader to work, right? But it's just an upload of a sketch. How is this that much better than ChatGPT? It's not. So what we want to do is we want to actually build that kind of sketching thing where you can sketch it out and say, hey, this is the thumbnail that I want. And then we might do some more product stuff too, but let's just start with the sketcher because that was kind of my original idea from the app that we built before. If you watched the YouTube series, I had built that before, but now I kind of want to go and rebuild that again. But I'm probably going to even try to do it even better this time and a little bit more organized. So I think this part's going to be actually quite easy, but let's go and try it out. All right. So again, we got a clean bill of health here. We don't have any changes, so we can always come back to this. Let's go to cursor and ask it a question. Okay. So I have my thumbnail generator. Okay. So the thumbnail generation works, but now I want to add a Canva-like interface so I can draw and make changes to draw the actual sketch, type on it, and upload images. I would like you to go and recommend me be the best. And I'm going to change it to ask because I don't want it to just go and implement. Let's see. And I think the one we had before was called, honestly, I can't remember the name of it, but hopefully it recommends me the same one. I like that one. It wasn't perfect, but it was pretty good. Yeah, canvas-based drawing library, that's kind of what we want. And we keep having these issues with the APIs, which is annoying, but that's okay. See, it's doing that thing. Yeah, okay, then it's going again. All right, Fabric.js, that was the one. And I like that one too. Since you're using Rails with import maps, I can easily integrate it, add to your import map. Yes, I would like you to integrate this into the sketches/new page. Because that's the one we're on, right? Yeah, this is sketches. I want it to be here. Instead of uploading a sketch, you immediately start by drawing it. Okay, let's see what we can do. And again, this whole thing can screw up. It can go crazy and we can always revert back. I don't like that it's doing all this JavaScript, but let's see. I think I'm still in ask. Okay, so we're going to go to agent and say, okay, please implement this. Okay, so now I like to go here and look at the changes that it's making. Nice. So that seems to be how it wants to load some of the JavaScript, which is cool. And now it's got this cool JavaScript file doing a bunch of stuff. That's a little bit more organized than what we had before, which I think is cool. Now it's going to make some changes to the sketches controller, which I'm a little hesitant about, but let's see. Because the sketches controller, okay, it still runs that, which I like. So instead of uploading a file, it's now going to upload the sketch there. So that would be really cool if it works. Let's hope it does. And again, if this doesn't work, if it blows up on us, we just revert and we can ask exactly how to do that. Okay, it says it's done. I'm going to restart my server as I like to do. Oh, and this is our first error here. So could not open the library VIPs 2. Okay. There was an error trying to load the gem Ruby VIPs. I didn't like that gem. Don't know why it was added. I feel like we didn't need it, right? Did we need that? But we'll just query it. So I'm having issues starting my server. Can you try and debug? I have a feeling this has nothing to do because it says it's from this Ruby VIPs thing. So it's probably an easy thing. But again, this is just how, yeah, it's saying the same thing. Brew install. Cool. So this should fix that. This is just some local stuff that doesn't affect anything else. This is the kind of stuff you have to do all the time when you're working in a local environment. I think that this kind of snuck in, but I don't want to mess with it because I know it's working in production. So I'm happy about that. So let's hope. And it's got to do this whole thing and install all these things. It's going to take a minute, guys. I'm sorry. But let's hope it goes fast. Okay, now it's done. Let's try restarting the server. Seems to be working. It's starting at localhost 3000, but let's see. Okay, that's working. Cool. Now we're going to go back and upload our sketch. Oh, wow. Here it is. Cool. So this doesn't actually work. That's okay. We are going to skip this and we're going to restart our app here because it should work now. And I'm going to go back to localhost 4000 because that's the one I've been using. And for some reason, unless I'm doing something wrong, I cannot do anything with the sketch. So I'm just going to query that. I'm going to say, okay, I can see the sketch pad, but when I click pencil and try to draw on it, nothing happens. I'm going to close out some of these here. I guess what I should be looking at is the console. This is what I want to pass to it, right? So whenever we're doing anything on the front end, this is what we start looking at is usually we can get some sort of error there. So I'm going to stop this and say, hey, actually, this is my error. And guys, I don't actually have really no idea what this is doing. It's saying there's some JavaScript issue. I never worked with this library before other than that small thing that I did. So I'm not like hugely familiar with it. So pretty cool that vibe coding can do this. Let's see if it works. Okay, interesting. It's using, it might work. We'll see. Let's go see what my cursor costs look like. It's a lot, but when you think about it, it's worth it. It really is worth it. The more you use it, the more you spend, which is a good model for them. Okay, let's restart the Rails server. I like that. Oh, that's cool. It'll restart it in here. That is too cool. Wow, I didn't know it could do that too. That is awesome. Okay, pencil. I'm still getting the same error, but it's somewhat new. So I'm just going to restart it on my own just because I sometimes don't fully trust that. Now we're going to reload and let's try it. Doesn't work, but now we have a new error. So we're going to send that too. Cool. I like this way better. Basically, it's trying to do some fancy JavaScript importing and stuff like that. And I just like to load it as a script. I think that's a lot cooler. Let's see if that works. Not cooler, but it's simpler. It's more hacky, right? So without getting into too much of the specifics of that, this is kind of our hack together thing, right? I don't know if this is going to work. I don't know, but I do know it doesn't need to be perfect behind the scenes. As long as it works, that's good enough for me. It doesn't need to be crazy fast or crazy optimized. It just needs to work. And without going too into details of the difference between these implementations, it's going to try a little bit more of a traditional implementation. And that's cool that the cursor, the model can do that. Okay, that restarted that. Let's load this up here. Okay, this says canvas initiated successfully. Now our pencil tool works and our eraser tool works and our text tool works. I want to make that black. For some reason, the text doesn't, I want the text to be black, but that's okay. That's cool. You can move things around. Dude, that's too cool. Okay, let's keep going here. Before I start messing with how all these things work, I want to make sure that this sketch gets sent to the backend. In other words, I want to see that this sketch actually gets passed to YouTube or to our thumbnail designer. So I'm actually going to just test it right now. I'm going to do a big smiley face because I know this is going to work, or because I know I'll be able to see that the thumbnail it gives me should be a cool smiley face. Let's create the thumbnail. Okay. Closed stream IO sketches control. Okay. Now we're going to test this. So we're going to try to debug this one and say, okay, when I draw my sketch and click create thumbnail, I think that's what it is. Just to be sure, let's check it. Create thumbnail. I get this error. Okay, and I just pasted the whole error in there that was on that page because I have a feeling it's a small thing. Okay, I see the issue. The error is occurring because we're closing the temporary file too early in the controller. When you draw on the canvas, submit the form, temporary file is being closed. Okay, let's fix it. So that should be hopefully a small thing. I like that it's restarting the server for me. That is so nice of you. I think it was listening to me, or it was maybe analyzing my behavior or something, right? That's too cool. That should work, but I'm just going to restart it just one more time just in case because I'm not sure if the code was changed. Just want to be totally sure that if something does. Okay, so sorry, we'll reload here and we'll do our smiley face. Hey, that worked. Okay, God, this is awesome.
Let's talk about lesson number 3. Get decent at debugging. So the number one thing I hear from people is AI vibe coding is impossible because you run into bugs and then you go into this thing called a death loop. Well, I went through that. You saw it in my very first one. And with this new project that I did, I approached it differently. I instead embraced debugging rather than just hoping and praying that my prompts would just figure things out. Hope is not a good strategy when it comes to vibe coding. Just hoping that you can prompt your way out of something is a really, really bad strategy, especially if the AI agent is going over and over and just making things way worse. You have to build up your debugging confidence, and it's a skill that gets better over time as you learn different strategies, which hopefully you'll see some of those in this video or in the GPT-4o bootcamp that we're running. One of my favorite ways to debug things is just to ask Cursor to debug itself. So one thing that it can do is it can actually build like a script and consistently run that script and then re-reference the errors that it's seeing in that script. What I love about Cursor in AI agents is it can actually start up your server and reference the errors of your server as it goes too. So actually sometimes it's faster than just debugging things yourself, but also sometimes you need to go in and manually debug stuff when the AI tools are not able to like truly pinpoint and figure out the issue. And that's when things kind of can get really hairy if you're not willing to go in and look at the error logs, read certain things, get a second opinion from ChatGPT or Google search, and then not able to go in and actually insert breakpoints into your code and actually understand what's going on and try to debug it. Because if you can insert breakpoints into your code and see where the errors are starting to happen, then you can actually tell Cursor or whatever you're using that this is where you think the issue is. And that can actually help fix things a lot faster or just help fix things in general. Look, I don't think debugging is something that you can master overnight, right? Debugging is a muscle that I think it's like a muscle that you flex every single time that you write code or do vibe coding. You get a little bit better each time. You see are the typical things that make mistakes or things that happen, and you just get better over time at it. So embrace debugging, flex that muscle, and over time, you'll just get a lot faster and a lot better, and you'll save yourself hours, hundreds of hours of banging your head against the wall, hoping that prompts will just solve the solution for you. Lesson number 4 is you need to flex and strengthen your debugging muscle. Let me explain.
Okay. We are going to do some landing page stuff. And I think this is good for all sorts of UIs. I think that's the wrong way to go about things because I don't know if the AIs are good enough there. And I just don't even know if that's the right way to approach. We like to do things piecemeal. I think it will make your life a lot easier and you'll make a better landing page. So let's go and update our landing page. This is our landing page right here, which is localhost 3000. Hello, vibe coders. Obviously, we're going to change all this up. So first thing I would look at is let's go and find a successful business in a similar space and essentially copy their landing page or what works. So I like Headshot Pro. This is an AI image generation tool. It's in a different niche. It's not YouTube thumbnails. So I don't think it's like messed up to copy them, although we're going to make a lot of changes. But there's a lot of things that this is a successful business that makes millions of dollars. They have lots of traffic. We want to take a lot of their learnings and, they've done a lot of tests on this landing page. They've tested a lot of things. This orange button, for example, maybe orange or just a bright color is what you want for that call to action. I'm not going to go over all that here, but I essentially kind of want to take what's working for them and put it into our app. So the first thing that I want to do this piece by piece. So I'm going to show you how I do that. And we'll go from there. Okay, so we got a clean slate here, I believe. Get status. Cool. So hello, vibe coders. Let's just search where that is because we want to know where that is in our app. That's going to be here in our index. So I'm going to copy this and do Command L and say, hey, this is the page where I want to clean this page up and I want to create our landing page so it looks awesome. So I'm going to say, I want to clean this page up and create a new landing page, but I'm going to do it piece by piece. I'm just saying what I want to do, but I would like to start over and remove everything from this page. Okay, let's do that. Then I'm going to go to our AI, the website that we want to kind of take over, and I'm going to go and take just this top part here. I might even go, but I think this is like this part and then that part. Those are the 3 things we'll do in this video. The rest, you'll see how to do it. So it won't be hard to do. So I'm going to copy this, copy element. Okay. It's already done some of our work for us. So we're going to reload this here and we have nothing other than our header and footer, which we want to have there. So let's go and add this. Okay. I want to add a hero section. Here is some example code and layout of how this should look. And I might even grab the photo. I mean, it's this one here, so I'll probably get it in context of this here. Let's try that. Let's see what happens. And I think this way is better too, because it's you do the entire page, it gets too crazy and does too much, and then you kind of lose sight of everything. So it did it. So let's check it out. Okay, that looks pretty good. Nice. All right, so there's a couple of changes I want to make. I say, okay, can you put this in its own partial file so it's easy to organize the landing page? I'm going to do that. Then while that's going, we're going to have to change the copy, right? I like how this is structured, but I need to change the copy. So I want to give it some details about my app. But first, let's just show you what's going on here. So it's doing this. Yeah, this is what I wanted it to do. So instead of having all the code in one page, I want to have what I call components, which is a welcome here. The whole thing is here, so I can easily make a change to this, and I can have, it's more easy to organize the components so that I'll have a hero, and then below that I'll have a photo or social proof or something like that. So that's done. That's easy. Let's just accept all the changes to show you what that looks like. Keep it simple. So now the whole homepage is just this. It just has hero. And a hero, look, it's already saying, hey, can I add features and pricing below? We're not going to do that yet, but that's simple. Okay. Now I'm going to say, okay, that looks cool. Can you go and edit the copy? Because this should be about our app. And then I'm going to give it a bunch of details about our app, which is AI thumbnails generator. And I'm talking about like what it does in terms of benefits, like saves you time and that sort of stuff. So I'm going to post that in. Let's see what it can do. So it should go in and edit, and say, create your thumbnails now, not create your headshots. And this is pretty fast, right? It's going fast. This is cool. From sketch to stunning thumbnails without the high cost. I don't think that's very good, but it's okay. It's not also the number one AI YouTube thumbnail generator, but it is. What does number one mean? The best, maybe we say the best. Turn your rough sketches into eye-catching YouTube thumbnails to drive more views, blah, 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 blah. Cool, that's cool. And then we have, view pricing. That's kind of nice too. So now let's go and take the next piece, which is this social proof element. So I'm going to go and copy this element, and we're going to say, well, first I like this, so I'm just going to commit this up, right? So we'll do git add dot git commit m hero git push. So if something goes wrong, we can always come back. Okay. Now I would like to add the social proof. I'm going to add all that in there, but I have to think about this because I'm kind of doing the copy as we go. But we don't have any customers yet. However, what I think you can do is just show off popular YouTube channels that really focus on thumbnails as the logos. So we'll try that. So again, it should add a new partial here. And again, we can see the changes that it's going to make. It's taking a little longer than I'd like it to take, but let's try. Let's see. Popular YouTube channels. So instead of saying, because we don't have customers yet, we can say like, instead more like, here's how important thumbnails are because I know this. I personally know this. Our channel, Starter Story, Mr. Beast, right? Doesn't mean that they use our product, but it means that they think thumbnails are important. So it added the social proof element here. So that kind of like makes it easier to follow all this, right? So if I go here and now I know I have hero and social proof. So if I want to make a change to the social proof thing, I kind of know how to make that change. It's more simple, right? Cool. Used by creators with millions of views. That's not true. I would update this to say like thumbnails are the make or break for these channels or something like that. So I'm not going to go through all that now. And also I want to make this go left and right. I could prompt that, but I'm not going to do it right now. Let's go and do the next piece, which is this photo. And what I want to do here is, well, first of all, let's just copy it, is this photo here. And I like the step 1, step 2, step 3, right? I really do like that too. So I'm going to do the same thing. Okay. Let's also add a component which has a photo and a step 1, 2, 3. I'm going to paste the code in there. It's a bit, doesn't seem, I guess maybe that is just a whole photo in itself. So yeah, it's just a photo. Cool. So I'm just going to use that photo because I'll eventually fix it. Just use that photo for now. You can use this photo temporarily. Okay. And then I'm going to give it an image too, because I want that step 1, step 2, step 3, but it doesn't seem to be there. So let's take that and do that. Let's run it. Okay, it's creating the how it works and it's adding it there. Let's go check out what that looks like. Bunch of stuff in here. Upload your sketch. Our AI goes to work. Download your thumbnails. That is how it works. So let's check it out. Cool. I think that's really important. So I'm going to stop it here. I'll go through all that stuff and then I'll show you the final results.
Lesson 4 is databases. In order to vibe code something that's production ready, that customers can use, that you need to make changes with over time, you have to have a decent understanding of how databases work, and more specifically, relational databases, so that you can make changes to your app over time. It's easy to spin up something that has users table or do something pretty basic like that, but I think you're going to be in for a wild ride if you don't truly understand how to make changes to your database and how to work with the database. When you want to make a change, add a feature, do some sort of migration, change the way things are structured, you need to think in terms of tables, migrations, and relationship between data and how data is structured. I think we're just a bit early when it comes to vibe coding tools and working with data. I think this is going to get solved eventually, but that I think can be a real killer advantage for people who just want to build more quickly, is just to understand databases a little bit better, because that's where I think that things can really start breaking fast and you can run into issues that are really, really hard to debug if you don't truly understand your database. And that's another reason, well, going back to one of my previous lessons, is why I think you should use a framework too, because a lot of these frameworks make it easy to migrate databases, make data and structural changes to your app without you ripping your hair out. So if you don't feel 100% comfortable with databases, I know a lot of you guys watching probably do, but if you don't, I would go on, learn more about your framework and how these things work, start small, make small changes. And once you understand the basics, I think it's really not too bad. And I think you'll feel a lot more confident making data and structural changes to your app. Side note, in the GPT-4o bootcamp, we'll be going over all of that, how I built all the data structures for my app, migrations, how to structure your data, and common gotchas. So be sure to check that out. Okay, so we talked about all the lessons, but I think that the major lesson learned here is just about starting over. And I think that starting over was the best thing that I could have done. If I could give anyone advice to someone who's hitting the wall, feeling demoralized, not wanting to go sit down and actually finish that project, it would be just start over. If you start over 10 times, 15 times, 20 times, imagine how fast and good you'll become. And when that one really good idea comes along where you got to move fast and act fast, you'll be ready to do it in minutes. That's the essence of this challenge, is that no matter what happens, I am not going to give up. And I'm going to try to make 100K, even if it means starting over lots of times, trying lots of ideas. I will not give up on this channel, and that's what it's all about. All right, guys, thanks for watching. I'll see you in day 6. But first, we're going to do the app reveal, so you're going to see that right now. All right, it is time for the big reveal. In this, the features, we're walking through some of the things, some of the trade-offs I made on the app. Look, the app's not perfect, but it's a start, and I think it's ready for me to start going out into the world and trying to market this thing and get attention and get users and see what happens. So let's walk through the app and also some of the code and some things that we've done. So this is thumbnails, aithumbnailsmaker.com. You can go to this right now. This is a real working app. This is my landing page. Without a great thumbnail, you're leaving millions of views on the table. I'm not going to go through too much here, but I kind of show how it works. Basically, you can sketch my original ideas. You can sketch your idea and you can get epic thumbnails. That's kind of the premise of this app. I set my pricing to be $9 a month, and I think I probably want it to be higher pricing eventually, but I think that's a good start to potentially just get my first users and people, early adopters, and see what they want more of. So I'm going to sign into the app real quick here. Log in. Yeah, we're logged in here. Now I can go to all my thumbnails here. So these are all a bunch of thumbnails I've already created. And just for the sake of simplicity, I'll upload my sketch, which I have. But let's just upload. I'm not going to go through drawing out the whole sketch right now, but you can upload a photo to this sketch pad and you can kind of move things around. It's kind of like a little Canva thing right here. See? So pretend this is my sketch. And then let's just go add a shark right here. Really bad shark, right? But let's see if we can get this to work. Okay. We got a shark right there. And then I'm going to say, create a YouTube thumbnail, me surfing a huge wave and a shark drawn / sketched out about to bite me. We're going to hit create thumbnail. And what it's going to do is it's going to go and generate the thumbnail. What's cool about this is it's all doing it on background jobs because these requests take a super long time to run. So the user can come back and the thumbnail is being processed, but they can do multiple thumbnails. They can do like 4 thumbnails at the same time, not actually in the app right now, but they will be able to do that because I built it properly with background scale jobs. And that's one of the things that's cool about the GPT-4o bootcamp that we're running is we have a whole section dedicated to background jobs because I think that's really important if you're doing anything with the GPT-4o image models. Anyway, so we'll let that generate for a second. We'll come back to that when that's done. But let's just go over some of the cool stuff that we did. So here we have 71 commits. This is all the commits that I made to the code base. This is all in Git right here. And that's also another cool thing about the GPT-4o bootcamp. I'm basically going to give you all this here.
So you can basically download all my code. You can get it. It's like boilerplate, right? You can go and find what commit hash where you want to start with, and you can just rip it out and put your own app on there. If you want to do an e-commerce product visualization generator, if you want to do an AI ads generator, you can just take my code, and it's a code base that's built for scale. But you don't have to do that as well. You can just follow along. I'm going to be releasing a video as well of me building the entire thing eventually, which unfortunately is a little bit too long for a video like this, but I documented everything. Everything is here in the GPT-4o bootcamp, which we're running next week, which I think is super cool. But again, you don't have to do that. This is really only for people that really want to take it seriously. It is a paid thing, but it's people that want to actually build something with the GPT-4o image API. And we actually have a section here on different ideas. I have a bunch of ideas that I think could work with the new GPT image generation thing. You get to get that idea and then build it alongside me. We do office hours and a bunch of stuff. But regardless of that, let's go back and see if our image is done. We're going to reload this page here. And I have my shark there, but unfortunately it is a drawn shark. But that looks pretty good there. I would probably reprompt it and do it again and just say, hey, the shark should be hyper realistic. And again, that's a little thing a change that I'm going to make to my prompt on the back end based on my own testing of it. But that looks pretty cool, I think. The guy kind of looks like me. It looks pretty good. But there's still some work to do, and that's okay. Then I can go back to my thumbnails. I can see all my thumbnails. I can look at different ones. Oh yeah, this is a cool one that I made here where I said, hey, put me on a photo with Novak Djokovic playing tennis with. That's a cool one. Anyways, this stuff is going to hopefully get better as the models get better and as I come up with more use cases. This is a pretty cool one too. That is not bad, right? It's not bad. But the idea is this is the dream right here, is you're going to be able to put a thumbnail in there and get a bunch of different tests. That's the next feature I'm probably going to build, but I'm not too concerned with features right now. Okay, so what's next? Well, it is now time to get this in front of real users and put this out into the world and see what kind of things can go wrong, right? I personally feel a little bit nervous to put this out there because the thumbnails that come out of it aren't perfect, right? You saw the shark issue there. There's a bunch of issues with it. And that's the one thing that I'm afraid afraid to fail, right? I'm afraid to put this out there because I don't think it's good enough, but I'm going to overcome that fear. What I'm going to do next in day 6 is I'm going to post my product a bunch of places all over the internet and see what happens. Our goal is to get our first paid user. Let's hope that happens. Otherwise, I'll see you guys in the next one. Who knows what's going to happen with this? That's okay if it completely fails, but we're going to learn from it and I'm going to document everything here on this channel. All right, guys, thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one.
Oh no. Some guy hacked into my app and somehow ran up my OpenAI bill $108 in one day. Oh my gosh.